Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. Erling Haaland to Manchester City looks absolutely nailed on. Does that mean game over for the rest of the Premier League, Europe, the world and the universe, as some people seem to be predicting? And the honest answer is, I don't think it is. Erling Haaland will be the biggest signing of the summer. Manchester City making it, we can all crack jokes about it and saying we'll barely notice it, but it is a big signing. Man City are a fantastic side. Pep Guardiola is a fantastic manager, and as we sit here in mid-April, we could be witnessing a team without Erling Haaland at Man City win a potential Premier League and Champions League double. So look, they're a very good side. You add Erling Haaland into it. Does that make them a better side? Of course it does. Does it make them an invincible side? Well, you don't actually have to be that good to be an invincible side. You can win, you can draw 12 games in a season. You can win no cups in that season and still be invincible. So the reality is, invincible doesn't really matter. Are Man City going to dominate with Pep Guardiola, the team that they've got, and Erling Haaland? And that's what we're going to discuss. And the reality is, look, Erling Haaland at Dortmund, how many major trophies has he won in his time there? Not many. No Bundesligas, no European trophies. I think they've won a German Cup. So look, Erling Haaland in a Dortmund side doesn't make them unstoppable. Erling Haaland in a Man City side, which has been very successful, makes them better. I don't think it makes them unstoppable, and I think there's various reasons why. But one of the most interesting things is that Pep Guardiola really wants a number 9, and I find this quite funny because we hear that you don't need a number 9 anymore. Look at Man City, false 9. And yet, over the last year, he desperately wanted Harry Kane, he desperately wanted Ronaldo, and he desperately wants Erling Haaland. He clearly sees a number 9 in the future of this Man City side to make it even better. So all this false 9 stuff will obviously disappear when he buys an out-and-out number 9. Because one thing's very clear about a Harry Kane or a Ronaldo or an Erling Haaland, and that is that they're not going to play on the wing, they're not going to play as a number 10, they're not going to play holding midfield or centre-back, they are strikers, and they will play as strikers in a Manchester City side. Do I think that this makes Man City unbeatable? No, I don't. I really don't. I think that there will be issues that any player will have. I mean, look, Man City are better than Man United, but you put Ronaldo in a United team, it hasn't made us better. Some would say it's made us worse. That's not on him. That's on the team that's around him and the inability to create chances. Erling Haaland in a Man City side is going to have to adapt. There's not going to be many teams that play Man City next season with Erling Haaland in it who think, let's play on the halfway line and get done on the counter. Erling Haaland loves to play on the counter with Dortmund. He loves a bit of pace. That's not really going to be possible for Man City. On the other hand, Dortmund are a team that has a lot of possession and teams will sit deep against them. He'll be used to that with Man City. So I think it's a good signing for Manchester City, but let's be honest, Man City's massive signings haven't really necessarily worked out. To be honest, they probably only really made one. Jack Grealish, 100 million quid. Has that made Man City better or worse? I think that's up for debate. The reality is Man City's major success over the last decade has been buying players for 50 million or 60 million or 40 million. The big signings, they don't have a massive experience of doing it. And Erling Haaland is a massive signing. That all in all, that deal's going to cost north of 150 million quid. The headline will be 67 million, but the whole reason that Mino Raiola was insistent on there being a release clause when he signed for Dortmund was because he knew the vast majority of money would be made by him and his client when he moved on. £67 million for Dortmund is not a lot of money for one of the world's best young strikers. If that release clause was not in play, you'd be expecting a fee of over £100 million easily. And that will be being paid somewhere else. That will be going to Mino Raiola, that will be going to Haaland and other subsidiaries of that. So it's a massive outlay for Man City that they can write off as we only paid 67 million. But trust me, as a United fan who's been linked to Haaland a couple of times, there are huge fees underneath that. So this is Man City's biggest ever signing. And with that comes great responsibility, great expectation. And he will score goals. But will he make Man City the greatest untouchable team in Europe? And I don't think it will, because we've already seen Man City this season. I thought Atletico Madrid caused them problems the other week. Liverpool will cause them problems and will continue to cause them problems. So domination of Manchester City is not going to happen just because they've bought Erling Haaland. It will make them better, it will make them different, but it won't make them unbeatable. They may well win a treble next year. They may well win a quadruple. They may well win the league for the next 5 years. But I don't think they're going to transcend to a level that makes them untouchable. I think what you're actually getting is, and I would applaud City for this, is something that United, I remember Roy Keane saying this, and we didn't always do it. When you win the league or you win the Champions League, what do you do in the summer after that? Do you think, well, we're good enough to go and do it again, or do you add players in to make you even better? And I think that is something that Liverpool and Chelsea are going to have to take a look at, because if Man City do win the league this year, and they do win the Champions League this year, and they do add Erling Haaland in, that is a big message that we only want to get better. And other teams need to react to that. In relation to the player himself, do I think he'll be a success? Yeah, I do. I think he will. I think he'll win Golden Boot in the Premier League. Of course I do. Do I think he'll be a success? Yes, I do think he will. But one thing I would always say about Erling Haaland is 22 years of age this summer. At Dortmund, I think he must have had, I mean, I'm going to get it up in a minute. I think he must have had 6 or 7 injuries in a couple of years. None of them have been major injuries, but they're all injuries that they're either going to disappear because they're all to do with growth, and they could well be to do with growth. He's only 20. He's only coming up for 22, or they could be issues that follow him through his whole career. So when you look at it, I mean, he did have a few knee issues at Salzburg, but in his Dortmund time, literally the first summer there, knee problem. Then again in the November, a little bit of a knee problem. Then a torn muscle fibre, muscular problems, hip flexor problem this season back in October that kept him out for a month, and then muscular problems from January until March. So they're not major injuries. They're certainly not major injuries, but they might be something that Man City might want to take a look at vigorously when they're doing the medical. I don't think it'd be enough to say don't sign him, but it might be something that maybe we look at over the next couple of years with Haaland and see, was it just growing pains? Because you're going to get that. He's been playing football. He's a big lad for the last 2 or 3 years in key growth years as a footballer. You know, he is physically going to be growing. Is this why he's had a few knee problems, a few muscle problems? Or is he going to be that sort of a player that does pick up a couple of knocks throughout the season? And obviously if that happens, City have got very big experience of that with Aguero, who seemed to get a couple of hamstrings injuries every year. So look, it's not set in stone that it will be an absolute success for Manchester City. I think it's a very, very good signing. I think it's a very interesting signing. And the interesting part for me is that Man City seem to have changed tact. They always were a club that spent good money, a lot of money, but on 50 to 60 million signings. They've now bought Grealish for 100 million. They're now going to get the biggest signing. There's clearly a change in City's policy. It was almost like the first decade, let's sort of scoot under the radar, spending a lot of money on players that aren't expensive in relation to their high price volume. And now they seem to be spending a lot of money on the high price items, the Grealish, obviously the Haaland as well. And the biggest thing for me in a footballing sense, if you take away the money, is Pep's sort of become known for this man who can play a false 9 in a Cup Champions League final and this, that and the other. But he desperately wants a number 9. What does Man City become with a proper number 9? Does he just abandon all false 9 things and just go with an out-and-out number 9? I think that's going to be interesting as well. So is it game over for the rest of the world? Is it game over for the rest of the Premier League? I don't think so. What do you? It will make them better. It'll be interesting. But I don't think it means they're going to walk away. I think that's modern sensationalist crap that you'll get from Gary Lineker about Man City are going to win everything for the next 100 years. I don't see that happening. I think Man City will get better, but it's how everyone else responds. In fact, I would say this. I think if Chelsea had bought Erling Haaland, that would have been a really big difference, because I think Chelsea are crying out for a striker like that. Whereas Man City, do they need it? We'll have to wait and see. Thanks for watching. Smash the like on the video and subscribe. I'll speak to you soon.